Hello all and welcome to Fergi time at fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, where I'll be rating FPL teams from the community and answering your questions live in the chat every single day from now until the deadline on Friday, August the 13th. I'll also be showing my latest draft at the end of the stream, so do hang around and I'll talk you through my current thinking. I was on the Green Arrow last night with Adam Hopcroft, and my draft keeps changing. I've got a latest draft, probably a little bit boring, but I'll be interested to get some feedback on what people think of that. So I'll be revealing that at the end of the stream. My name is Fergie, and for any new watchers, you are very, very welcome. If you haven't subscribed to us yet, please press the subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner of the screen and set the alerts so you don't miss any of our daily content right here on this channel. Also, please press the like button. If everyone could press like, would very, very much appreciate it if you enjoy our content. Good afternoon to everybody. In the chat we're Purple with his ducks, FPL Rub Ducky, El Diablo, Mr. LH, Azaihan, Stefan Evans, Jordan Cole, Nobody, Dave Alderton, Jordan Cole, FPL Sponge, hello there Spongy, Paul H, Nicholas, Ross Johnson, and lots of others. It's great to have you on. Please pop in and say hello if you are joining us today. Just before we get into it, if you haven't already signed up to fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, there is currently a pre-season 25% discount link at the top of the description below. Members get unlimited access to all our fantasy Premier League and fantasy football tools, including Opta stats, comparison tools, points predictions tools, and the Game Week 1 team reveals from the very best FPL managers in the world. Masses of fantasy football content and basically everything you could ever need to become a better fantasy football manager and dominate your mini leagues. Hello there, so many people in the chat. Great to have you all on. Josh, hi from India. Stefan from South Wales. I'm based in South Wales, Stefan. I'm based at the Rhondda Valleys. George is from Greece. We had someone from Malaysia as well. So many people, and it's great to have you all on. Thank you so much for joining me. So let's have a look then at our first draft. If you do have any questions, dilemmas, A's or B's, put them in the chat, and I will try to endeavour to answer them as quick as possible. Charlie Bridges from Merthyr, just up the road from me, Charlie, about half an hour drive. Just some questions I saw earlier on before I get into the first draft. FPL Sponge, afternoon all. Show us your Watkins replacements. I mean, the news that happened yesterday. This is why we do these daily ones, right? Because everything changes so quickly. So, firstly, Danny Ings signed for Aston Villa last night at I think it was about 6:45. It was released, and I was going live on the Green Arrow stream at 7 o'clock, and I was like, just talking about blow up all your plans. My initial thoughts on Danny Ings, I'm not sure how much he's had in pre-season. I don't believe he's had many minutes because for all the games I've seen, Che Adams and Nathan Teller have been playing up front for the Saints. I've taken Ollie Watkins out of my draft because I was tossing up between and someone else anyway. So that's kind of made the decision for me. I do think Ings will offer incredible value throughout the season. However, I probably wouldn't start off with him unless we know he's going to start. So that's my thought there. Quickly on Grealish as well. Obviously, it looks like he's minutes and hours away from signing for Man City. Same for me for Grealish. Wait and see. There's no way of putting him in my Game Week 1 team. And Lukaku. I mean Lukaku, right? I mean that is just a game breaker there if he goes to Chelsea. So it broke yesterday for those who haven't seen that. He's basically not far off handed in a transfer request. He wants to move to Chelsea. They expect to complete that next week. That has slightly put me off Havertz at the moment. So because the whole reason I liked Havertz is because if Havertz played centrally, it'd be incredible. But obviously Lukaku would occupy that spot. And, our best wishes to Wesley Fofana, who absolutely had that horrific injury last night, and obviously from an FPL perspective, we need to think about who to replace him with. But all our thoughts are with him, with his awful looking injury. Let's have a look at this initial draft. He's gone for 3 big hitters in Kane, Salah, and Bruno. He's also gone for Dele Alli, which I thought was quite interesting because we haven't seen much love for Dele Alli, and obviously at 6.5 he's got a lot of competition in that in that area. But Spurs fixtures are quite decent actually after game week 1. Obviously they got Man City, but after that they are fairly decent. So I think, I do think as a punt, I think Ali is not a bad shout. I prefer other options, but I definitely think so. He captained Spurs in a friendly last week, which says to me that the new manager clearly trusts him, right? So I don't think that Dele Alli should be kind of scoffed at as a pick there. Overall, Shaw and Robertson, he hasn't got any other 5.5s. He can't afford them, obviously, because he's gone for Harry Kane. But overall, I don't think this draft is as bad as first. I think someone put Oh My Eyes. I don't think it's that bad. I'm not too keen on the Backman Foster. I prefer Sanchez upgrading to Martinez. But overall, Matthew FPL 1987. Let us know what you think in the chat about rating this team. But I'm pretty, he hasn't got much of a bench. He will only have Gilmore playing on his bench, which is not good. And Mr. A makes a very good point actually about Ali is playing deep. I would pick Lucas Moura instead. That is a pretty good shout there, Mr. A. I can't argue with that. But I think a pretty sturdy 7.5 to 8 out of 10. I'm going to give him an 8 because I think it's quite ballsy. And, I do like that team. Obviously, you're going to have to switch out Fofana. In terms of replacement, 4.5s, I mean, everyone knows them, right? Aylin, Veltman. I'm trying to think of another. I'm trying to think of some inspiration to come up with a 4.5. I can't really think of any excitement at the moment. Doherty at 5 million for Spurs could be one. If he kicks on, he could have a hell of a season. But I certainly wouldn't be starting. The ratings are starting to come in. Some 6s and 7s. Alex McLean says 6.5, maybe a 7. 6s and 7s, too many if, buts and maybes. I think that's fair enough, Richard. Coke says 3.5 out of 10. That is harsh. George, you are right about Aylin 0 goals and 0 assists last season. But he did have 70 penalty area touches. He had a goal disallowed. He was actually very, very unlucky. So I think Aylin is actually a decent option at 4.5. And if I was playing 4.5s, I would probably pick Aylin as my favourite. Let's see what questions we have had in the chat. And LJ Love comments Buendia for Delhi, and it's a decent team. Yeah, I think I'm going for Buendia. I think now there's a bit not sure with Watkins. I was tossing up anyway between Watkins and Buendia. I don't personally fancy a double up from Villa. I feel it's a bit kind of all eggs in one basket, right? But now that Ings is there, I think that makes a decision for me. Up until now in my draft to have Buendia over Watkins. Purple says Omob to Livramento. Yeah, that 4 million spot there. We obviously wait until we know who's looking to be a guaranteed starter. And James says Kane for Fowler. Delhi is trolling. That's a bit harsh. Lewis Jerome Kimpton, good mids for 8 million. I'm not sure there's many decent mids for exactly 8 million, but we can talk for hours about all the ones between that kind of 6.5 to 9 million. We talk about it every single day, right? There are loads of really good options. My favourites, so my two that I've got in my draft at the moment at that price point, I've got Buendia and Rafinha now as of today. However, Mason Greenwood is quickly coming into my thoughts with the news that Cavani may not make game week 1. Rashford isn't there either, obviously. So Greenwood is the one I'm potentially looking to punt on for game week 1. But at the moment, I've got Buendia and I've managed to, cobble together a pretty good team. Joe says, hi Fergie, bit late today. 10 minutes late, Joe. Slap on the wrist. It's not good enough, but apology accepted. Paul H asks, what do we reckon Lukaku's price would be? That is a very good question, and I would be amazed if he's anything under 11.5, because he's going to be absolutely fantastic. And Joel says, people are sleeping on Ziyech, 4 goals in 5 pre-season games. Let's have a look at another draft, and this is from @Ramiro_unlove. Now I saw this, and it's one of the first teams I've seen that's set as a 4-5-1. Now he has got Barnes up front, right? And obviously Barnes isn't a good option up front. I think it's probably fair to say, and he's got Deeney and Obafemi, as the other two. I think you're taking the mick there, putting Ashley Barnes up front. But other than that, I did like the look of what you can do with the rest of your team. He's got Raya in goals. It's the first time I've seen the Brentford's keeper in goals. Sufal, White, Shaw, and Cody. But look at that midfield. My goodness, Mahrez, Bruno, Salah, Mane, and Sarr. It just goes to show what you can do. I like to show drafts like these because it just goes to show kind of what you can do. When you spend your cash in different areas. And Cash Shoe asks, Fergie, are we focusing on teams for Game Week 1? Absolutely, we are, yes. Apparently Jota, according to David Vaughan, has just scored for Liverpool, which, he's another one, right, which is definitely in that bracket, 7.5. Paul H, harsh Paul, is that team an auto pick? I don't think that's very fair, but we are getting a lot of 3 out of 10s, 2 out of 10s, 4. Graham says 0 out of 10. Wingel, totally unbalanced team and squad. And Travis says should be locked up. That's a little bit harsh. And Dipesh says get that team out of my eyes. I will do that. It is not the best team I've ever seen. Romero One Love, back to the drawing board. Sorry, buddy. Let's move on to a different looking team, and this is at Bellamy 2006. He's gone for Sanchez in goals, Trent, Digne, and Cash. Can't argue with any of them picks. Salah, Bowen is an interesting pick, which is why I kind of looked at this one. I'm not too keen again on doubling up in attack from. Is it harsh to call West Ham a mid-table team? Let's call them a top 8 team. But he's gone Bowen and Antonio. I like the Buendia pick. I like the Greenwood pick. And Wilson and Iheanacho up front. They're different sort of, 7.5s picks than what we've already seen. Iheanacho, I think, is going under the radar. I haven't seen him in many drafts because there's so many options at that price point, right? But I do think he was benched. I think it was yesterday or the day before in a friendly where it was. Yesterday actually in a friendly where they looked to play their first strength 11. I think it was actually their last pre-season match, I think, which was quite surprising with a week to go. But Wilson in there as well. But I did like the look of this team. The only issue, well, if you look at his bench, I say that's the only issue. He's got Shaw and Cancelo on his bench, which to me is a bit mad, especially Shaw. But the problem with this team, we said it all week, right? You've got no way to move quickly to Kane, to Lukaku, even to Grealish, right? You've got no flexibility with this team. As a starting 11, I think he's pretty decent. But other than that, I think Bellamy 2006, I think you need to have a bit of a rethink about the shape of your team. You can't have your cash spread all over your team like that. You will have benching headaches every week. It will do your head in. So with that in mind, what we've got in the chat, we've got 6.5, 8.5 off Scope. Scope likes this. 4.5 off Nicholas, 6.5 off Dipesh. I think that I'm going to give this a 7.5 because it just lacks the flexibility. Josh Strange, day 3 of asking for double Liverpool defence opinions. Apologies, Josh, if I've missed that. Let me give you my thoughts now. So my initial thoughts one, I did have Robertson in addition to Trent in one of my drafts last week, but it sounded more and more from the manager that Van Dijk may not start the season. Now I'm kind of changing my mind a little bit because if Van Dijk, so I believe he started today. He's playing actually, as we speak in a friendly now. If Van Dijk does start the season, Liverpool are going to have their first choice defence in line for Game Week 1. Fixtures are insane. Robertson, reasonably scores a similar amount of points to Trent every single season. We say that Trent's essential. So I'm certainly not against it. The issue with obviously having Robertson inside, he's a million more than players like Chilwell and Diaz. He's 1.5 million more than the 5.5s. It's what it does with the rest of your team. This is actually one of my dilemmas later. I've actually got I think it's a Robertson versus Greenwood versus someone else, which I'll come on when I show my team at the end. Toffer David, Leicester play City in the Community Shield. Should see their starting lineup. Very good point there, Sophia. We will see their starting lineup on the weekend. Had a couple of shouts for Bertrand. So I don't know if anyone saw Ryan Bertrand last night, but I think he got 2 assists. The only problem with Leicester fullbacks is they've got 4 they've actually got 5 very, very good fullbacks in Castagna, Pereira, Luke Thomas, Ryan Bertrand, and Justin. Now we know that Justin's out for a while, right? But for those other 4 for 2 spots, I'm not sure that Bertrand is gonna, definitely make every single game personally. Let's have a look at another draft, and this one came in from that Mike Neve one. And Mike Neve, thank you so much for putting your name on it and send it in nice and trimmed and cropped. I really, really do appreciate it. Now I've picked out this one. The thing that I liked about it was double Chelsea and double Man City right from the off, and I think that is something not to be overlooked, because Chelsea and Man City, they're going to be very likely in the top 4 of the NCs. They will probably be the 1-2, though I'm pretty sure that Liverpool and Man United fans will have something to say about that. But to get them in right from the start as a long-term strategy, I don't think is a bad is a bad one at all. He's got Salah, he's got Bruno, he's got a lot of bases covered. He's got the highly owned Digne, he's got Soufal, so he hasn't got a rubbish team. He's also got the very highly owned Tony Watkins, even though he may just look at taking out Watkins. The issue there, I think, is the bench. You've got you've got 0 playing bench apart from Gilmore potentially. But other than that, I actually really like this draft, Mike, and it's something I was thinking about a week or 2 ago. Around getting in a Chelsea and a Man City player. The problem is you have players like Shaw and Trent. There's no Trent, which is massive, right? Because you can't afford Trent. However, if Man City and Chelsea kick off, I think you could get off to an absolute flyer. FPL right back and a couple of others have said that Mane has just scored for Liverpool as well. I was bigging up Mane last night on the Green Arrow. Mane for me is going to be the one. Do you know Mane is under 4% owned? Under 4% owned. Which I find absolutely incredible, but obviously it's because the vast majority of people are on Salah and Bruno. I think Mane is going to have a season and a half this year, personally, but we will see. We'll see what happens with his ownership. If Mane scores a couple of goals today, we'll see what happens with his ownership. Some high ratings for this one. 8, 8.5, 7, 8. Yeah, do you know what? I'm happy to give an 8.5 on this one. The only thing lacking is your bench. So if you can maybe just have a tweak around, maybe, I don't know, Mahrez to Jota or something like that, and just to sort your bench out a little bit. But other than that, I think you're good there. Let's have a look at another one. At Differential FPL. Wow, how did this get in you? Triple Brighton attack. I'm not sure how this has crept in you. He calls himself Differential FPL. I think he should call himself Screw Loose FPL. So he's got Martez in goals, Creswell, Target, and Trent. Nothing wrong with the back 3 there. Salah and Mane. I do like that Mane pick. I'm not going away from that Mane. I think that Mane, if you look at Mane versus Bruno, you're not going to want to captain Bruno probably until game week 4, right? So that Salah Mane double up is not as crazy as it seems. I was trying to argue it with Adam last night, and he did persuade me to keep Bruno because I'm not planning an early wild card. If you are planning wild carding earlier than game week 4 or on game week 4, I think Mane could be the way to go. He's got Mwepu and Trossard in it, so I can't laugh. And Buendia, and then he's gone for Ings and Mopai. I think actually in his tweet he put don't doubt the Mopai. I do doubt Mopai, but I doubt your sanity a little bit more here. Differential FPL. The reason I picked this out mainly was for that Liverpool triple up of Trent Myers. So I think it's absolutely superb, but I'm sorry, it's got to go in the bin. For those Brighton attackers, you're getting a lot of flack, and I'm not surprised, right? You're getting a lot of ones, you're getting a lot of 2 out of 10. FPL Sparta says 2 out of 10. -1 Jack Garrity, and Alexander says -10. Dipesh 2. Ross John says the state of it, ha. Get it off my screen. Get it off. So now we have a draft from at FF Thinker. So FF Thinker is actually a hub contributor. Really, if you don't follow at FF Thinker, make sure you do. He really knows his stuff when it comes to fancy football. So I really like his back four of Martinez, Trent, Digne, and Soufal. They're all in my team at the moment. Buendia, Greenwood, Salah, and Mahrez. So he's lacking that, second premium there. A couple of picks up front though. So this is a really interesting front line of Antonio. So he's got in Ings. He's actually got him in a Villa shirt. They must have changed his shirt already on system, which is great. But he's gone for Jimenez, and I haven't seen Jimenez in any drafts yet. I just think that Jimenez is a really interesting pick right off the bat from Game Week 1. Wolves apparently have looked very attacking, looking very good. Game Week 1, their fixtures also turn in Game Week 4, so he could be the kind of player, even if he doesn't explode, in the first three, even only get a goal or two maybe in the first three, he's in your team ready and set for Game Week 4, and I really like that tactic of trying to get ahead of the curve. And Leopard says Creswell is so consistent, and Joe Bellamy. Bertrand took free kicks today, even when Maddison was on the pitch. Very interesting on Bertrand. Definitely one to keep an eye on there. If anyone can find his price, actually, because I've got to be honest, I haven't looked at his price. I'm assuming he's quite cheap because he was a Southampton defender. Maybe 5. George says still no Tierney is strange. He rotates well with Ayling. Just think the problem with Tierney, George, is that initial couple of fixtures they've got Chelsea and Man City in Game Week 2 and Game Week 3. But overall, FF Thinker, I like this team. You've also got Ayling on the bench. You just haven't got that. You haven't got that way of getting to the other premium really quickly. The only thing kind of letting this team down. So with that, I would probably go for. I think it's a really good team actually. I would go for 8.5. But lots of people are saying, I'm saying a bit less actually. Sparta says 7.5. Jack Garrity says 7.5. George says 7.5. And Scoped has just confirmed that Bertrand is 5 million. So that's a really interesting one there. Thank you, Scoped, and thank you, Yusuf, and Joe as well. Bertrand is definitely one to monitor, over the next month or two. And Leicester obviously do have nice fixtures as well. The only thing is, like I say, he's up against a lot of very high quality fullbacks there as well. Question from General Toxic: Jimenez or Antonio? If I was to pick now, I would say Antonio. Purely fixtures pick. He's incredibly dangerous when he's fit. He always looks like scoring. His fixtures are just better than Wolves at the moment. That's the only reason I would go for Antonio. But in terms of quality of player, Jimenez is right up there as well. Some more ratings off 8s, 9s, and 7s. Just to let everyone know, to have a chance to get your team featured and rated on this stream, make sure you follow at FFH_HQ on Twitter. That's at FFH_HQ, and follow at FFH Fergi, which is right by here. Post your team in the daily tweet, which goes out at roughly 10 a.m. BST, and I will pick 7 or 8 of the kind of more interesting drafts. I'm not going to pick any of the template drafts anymore, right? We did all that on day 1 and day 2. There's only so many times you can we can talk about the same sorts of players. Should we have a look at another draft? Let's have a look at FPL Robo 26. So this guy was listening to the Green Arrow last night, and he knows what I like. He's picked a team that he knows I will like. He knows I like Martins and goals. He knows I'm a fan of big at the back as well. Look at that back 5. It's absolutely frightening. He's also got 3 fantastic midfielders and 2 really good strikers. So Martinez, Trent, Soufal, Shaw, Digne, and Robertson, Salah, Fernandes, Buendia, Calvert-Lewin, and Antonio. I have no idea why he's gone for Allen on his bench, because he's just not a fantasy player at all. And I'm not sure how much he is. That's how much I haven't looked at him. But when you look at that team, it is so difficult to to argue, because he has the bases covered in terms of captaincies. He's got incredibly strong defense. All his back five. Well, 4 of the back 5 are on set piece. Robertson, Trent obviously rotate. Soufal is very, very attacking. 9 assists last season. And Alexander actually says wasted money on the bench. So, if there is wasted money there, there's the potential for this to be even better. So do you know what? And he knows it as well, because he messaged me this, and he was live on Green Arrow last night. We were talking about it. He says, you're going to love this team. And I do love it. The only kind of miss there from the template is probably a Leeds player, but obviously, a Leeds player is certainly not a must-have. And we've had so the kind of ratings we're getting: 7, 8s, 9s, 9 out of 10, 7 out of 10. Martin Boyle says, I don't mind that, to be honest. Fullbacks offer value. I completely agree. Travis just said that team costs 102 million. I hope you're not right. I'll be absolutely spewing if it does, because it's one of the best teams I've seen, and this is the kind of team that can make me change my mind on my strategy. Joe says Leeds first team lost 4-0 to Ajax yesterday. Yeah, I do think Leeds have struggled a bit in pre-season, haven't they? And Graham Murray says, is that 100 million? If someone just wants to quickly add that up on the stream and make sure that is 100 million, then I think that's an absolutely fantastic team. If it is affordable, I hope he's not pulling my plonker. I will be fuming if that's over 100 million. We just had some in the chat that this doesn't this doesn't include Keenan Davis. I mean, why wouldn't you have Keenan Davis? And Nathan Teller was was very sweet on Teller, and it was funny because I was live last night again on Green Arrow, and I was bigging up Nathan Teller as the 5 million midfielder. And as I was talking about him, apparently he went down clutching his leg, and he might be injured, which is a bit of a shame. So I've taken him up because of that. Ruben says, yes, the team is overpriced. FPL Robbo, I'm fuming with you. If we can, but if we can get anywhere close to that, you know what? I really, really like that team. Even if we can get close to that, I think it's good. Okay, Miraj just asks thoughts on Danny Ings, and Danny Ings. I've got no doubt he'll be a massive success at Villa. I've got no doubt he'll score a lot of goals. I don't think he's played in pre-season or played much in pre-season, so I probably wouldn't go over him personally for game week 1. But I think that you can definitely look at him, from game week 2 or 3 onwards potentially. Personally, I think I'm going for Buendia for security of start. And Buendia is going to, he should thrive in that role alongside all those other players as well. If you are enjoying the stream, please don't be scared of pressing like. I'd really appreciate it if you could press like if you're enjoying. I've had quite a lot of people actually confirm that this team is 100 million, and that is a compliment to you, FPL Robo 26. That people are surprised that it is 100 million. So yeah, really, really good team. And do you know what? I'm looking at this, mate, because I think it's absolutely superb. Do you know what? I haven't rated a team a 10 all week, but this is as close. This is as close as it gets. As close as it gets to a 10. I'd be interested if anyone does think that it's a 10 out of 10. We'll rearrange the bench, right? We'll redistribute the funds on the bench, and get the right kind of players on the bench. But overall, absolutely love it, and it's as close to 10 as we're going to get so far. It's probably the best team I've seen all week. Let's have a look at another draft. Let's have a look at. So this is at SJW8169, and the reason I picked out this one, Ross Johnson, Fergie is so easily swayed. Robbo knows how I play. He knows I like Martinez. He knows I like the back 5. He knows I love the value players. Anyway, reason I looked at this team, interesting. So he had Creswell, who we haven't mentioned much this week. I think Creswell is as good a 5.5 defender as all the others, right? So I think he's absolutely fantastic. He's a very, very underrated player. Very similar to Ward Prowse in terms of, because they never do anything flash, no one ever picks them, right? Or very few managers choose them, but they always just score very, very consistently and end up some of the highest scorers in their position. He's also gone for Meslier in goal, which is interesting. Again, there was a lot of chat about Meslier early on, kind of when the game launched for 5 million. Good for save bonus. I'm never a fan of picking a player, for save bonus, because it obviously means that the team are rubbish at defending, right? And the bread and butter of getting a defensive asset or a keeper is clean sheets. So I'm not a fan of Meslier. I personally just go for Sanchez or Martinez. Personally, he's managed to squeeze in Son in there. He's gone for Vardy. It's the first time I've seen Vardy. I would be interested. If anyone has got any thoughts on Vardy. Leicester's fixtures are very, very nice. Between Vardy and Son there, you've kind of got a placeholder as well. If you do need to shift off a Lukaku or a Kane or a Bruno or something like that, you'd have to find a little bit of change elsewhere. He's put Tony third on the bench, which I'm not sure about, because if you're spending $6.5 million on a striker, surely you want to play him at home when you open the gate of the season, I would say. So I think I'm not too sure about that. But other than that, I think it's quite a decent team. Dallas is an interesting pick. Again, I think that Dallas could be maybe underpriced. He's not for me. I don't really find him that exciting. Dallas is a pick. I think there are definitely other decent picks. More exciting picks than Dallas. But I think he can do a job for his price. I think someone said in the chat that I have a new favourite team every day. Well, obviously, as I see more teams, I'm seeing more teams, so I might get more favourites. I definitely liked the team I saw yesterday off Swan More Time. That was a really fantastic team, and that was a 9. But with that one as well. And what I'm doing, I'm collecting this information, taking a look for myself as well. Okay, let's have a look at another draft while we're here, and this one is from at Matthew FPL 1987. No, we've actually gone through all the drafts already. We absolutely rattled through those drafts. So we're gonna have to have a look at my draft in a minute. Firstly, let's just have a look at some questions in the chat. Jibin Thomas: if Lukaku goes to Chelsea and Kane goes to City, will you choose them both or go with one, and who, Fergie? I mean, what a question. I personally, I would go for Kane, just because I think he's a better striker. I did cause a bit of a stir last night because I said that I personally think, and it's subjective, but I personally think that Kane is the best striker in the world. I know that will get a lot of Lewandowski and Haaland and kind of Ronaldo kind of fans backs up, but I personally think he is. I just think he's the most all-round best striker in the world, personally. And I think Kane at Man City is definitely going to be on penalties. That's an absolute dead cert. He's going to get so many chances. He can score all different kinds of goals. He can score long shots. He can score close, headers, volleys, anything. Kane is the man when it comes to goals, and he's also a fantastic team player as well, which I do think is underrated. So Kane for me, as soon as Kane goes to City and there's a sniff he starts, I just can't see how you can't captain Kane in basically every game he plays. And there may be a bit of a rotation worry, but I'm sure that I'm sure that Kane will have someone in his contract that basically not if he's fit he plays, more or less. I think if you think of Aguero a few years ago, Aguero basically played every game, right? So when Aguero was the main man, he basically played every game. And it's only as he got a bit more kind of injury prone and maybe a little bit older that he started to get rotated with Jesus and bits and pieces. Alexander says Mbappe retired. Anyway, and Dia says, what? It's not even debatable. Lewandowski is twice the player than Kane. Yeah, he really showed that in the Euros. Fair play. Florin says, with all the change and transfers happening, is it fair to target first international break for early wildcard? Florin, I wouldn't be against it. I'm going to try to hold mine back. I'm trying to plan my team, for the medium term. Personally, I wildcard early last season. And it did work, but I do think sometimes we can get kind of rabbit holed. The wild card for me is by far and away the most powerful and important tool we have as FPL managers. You completely change your whole team at any point in the season. So I'm going to try to hold on. But I would say if you are if you're looking to wildcard in game week 4, I don't see why you don't go for Mane over Bruno personally, as Mane in the 4% owned. I mean, it's up to you, but that is something I would definitely look at. Jaden, no, I'm sorry. I've actually run out of teams. We absolutely rifled through those teams. Apologies for that. I've got my own draft to show any minute now. I'll leave it a couple of minutes. I'll just answer a few more questions before I show my own draft, and I will talk about my own draft for a bit. Hussein asks, will DCL play in game week 1? I can't see why he wouldn't. Personally, I can't see why. I haven't heard anything contrary. He's the number 1 there. So unless we hear anything next week at the press conferences, one piece of advice I would say, in terms of your team. So I will be doing a deadline stream on this channel right at the time. But one thing I want to say is, don't leave your decisions with an hour to go. Right. So just that example of Calvert-Lewin, right? If you're not sure that Calvert-Lewin is going to play and you're waiting for press conference, kind of waiting for news, I would, what I would do is I would just have a plan in your head of what you're going to do if you hear the news. So if you hear that Calvert-Lewin is not going to play, already have that plan of who you are actually going to play, be it Bamford, be it Antonio, because what you find, and I don't know if anyone else finds this, but that final hour when you have to make a decision feels like 2 minutes in your mind when you've got to just make a decision on the spot. Otherwise you just lose everything. So that's a bit of a tip from me in terms of managing your fantasy team. Is if you're unsure on what you're doing and you're waiting for like a press conference, right, just have in your mind what you're going to do for either scenario. Abkar asks, any preferred formation, Fergie? Is anything that brings a statistical edge? I don't know anything that brings a statistical edge, but from personal preference. So statistically last season, so I did a statistical review of my team last season, and when I played 2 up front, so when I played 4-4-2 or 3-5-2, I scored on average 20 more points than when I played 3 up front in a game week. And that is what is making me look at that earlier draft I saw, the 5-3-2. This one here is that on average last season when I played 2 up front, I scored 20 more points. And I would also say that so I had my best ever season in I think it was 2017-2018, and I had a 4.5 rooted to my bench all season. And that was the season where, I had my best ever season, finished 700th, was the season where I just played 2 up front. So this is why I like this team so much, is because I feel there's points all over the pitch, right? But that's more of a personal preference, like I say, than statistically proven. I'm sure there's lots of other FPL managers that would argue. The Real Clammy says, Havertz or Ziyech? I would absolutely, jump to Havertz immediately normally, but I think Ziyech just scored, is it 4 preseason goals in 5 games? It's hard to argue with those numbers, but all eyes on Lukaku. I think if Lukaku plays, and I think Ziyech does become, a better option potentially than Havertz. Plays wider on some set pieces as well. He was last season, had that really good relationship with Reece James. So I think that Havertz is I think that Ziyech could become a better asset than Havertz if Lukaku signs. Sky Sports Fantasy Football Bite Size. If you don't follow Dan Cox _FFH on Twitter, make sure you do, and also follow his Sky Sports Fantasy Football Bite Size YouTube channel. If you don't, there you are, Dan. Are we having Ings? Really good question. So let's just answer Ings. I've said it earlier. I'm probably not going to start with him for game week 1. I don't think he's had much of a pre-season. By the look of it, I do think Ings will be a tremendous pick over the season. However, I think I'm personally probably at the moment. Obviously, we have 8 days, right? Anything could change in that time. I'm on Buendia at the moment rather than Ings just to start. But we'll see how it goes. At 8 million, if you've got Calvert-Lewin, Bamford, Antonio, anyone at that price point, he's a very, very easy switch easy switch in, right? A couple of questions. Jaden says thoughts on Madison. He's got to be a leave for me. I'm sorry, he's too expensive. There's far better options at the price point. Not even sure he's going to stay. And he did have a bit of a spell last year where he was partnered up well with Vardy and Harvey Barnes, but with Iheanacho and Daka there now as well, we're just not sure how that is going to play out. And Joe Bellamy, final question before I reveal my latest draft. Thoughts on Zinchenko. So Zinchenko's into one. This whole Zinchenko, Walker, Cancelo thing. So if you look at the final few big games of last season, Zinchenko, he came on for Cancelo in the first leg of the semi-final of the Champions League. He started ahead of Cancelo, so he and Walker started ahead of Cancelo in the second leg of the semi-final of the Champions League, and Zinchenko and Walker also played in the final of the Champions League. Cancelo is nowhere to be seen, and this is why I'm struggling to get a bit hot on Cancelo, just to start off with, because it seems that Zinchenko, he finished the season as the first choice left back in that team. So that's why I just think there's a bit too much risk attached to spend that money when look at this team in front of us, right? I mean, look at all those players, affordable players, nailed on set pieces. I would prefer those teams ahead of them. Okay, I'm going to show you my team. We're only on 149 likes, guys. I mean, come on. I've just been going through all those teams, just been answering everyone's questions for the last 42 minutes, and I'm only on 149 likes. I will show my team. I'm going to show my team now. Please, can we get up to 250 likes? It's not difficult. There's 600 people watching, and apparently over 3,000 of you have dipped in and out. Can everyone who's watching please just press like, and I will show my draft, and I will go through my team player by player. It's changed a bit from yesterday. It's actually changed from yesterday afternoon to the evening to today as well. Before I say, I haven't put Greenwood in my team before I do reveal. I haven't put him in yet, but Greenwood is someone I'm pretty sweet on with all the news. Just a couple of things in the chat while we wait for the likes to stack up to get to 250. Joe Bellamy says Redmond has been outstanding in pre-season. I really like the Southampton midfielders as players. It's just a shame you can never pick the one in that whole midfield, which will who will actually get you those consistent points. Apart from Ward-Prowse, who I mentioned earlier. Thank you so much, guys, for everyone nagging people to like the stream. Ross Johnson says Davis captain. Come on, Ross. I think you know better than that now. Gold, peace, prosperity. Show your teeth as well, please, Fergie. I'm not gonna show my teeth. I've been asked to show other things before, but never my teeth. What about Barnes? Harvey Barnes. He scored a very good goal actually yesterday. So he was playing in that kind of inside left channel. Scored a really nice finish. He's put clean through, outpaced the defence, rifled it in the top corner. Just going to wait on Harvey Barnes, but just because you haven't played a competitive game since, I think it was it February or March. So I just want to wait on Harvey Barnes, personally. And we're nearly up to 250, just 5 away. Come on, guys. Please just like the stream. It's just a click. It's just a click of a button. That's all it is. I'll get ready. One more question before I show you my team. DL says, do I watch football outside the Prem? I do indeed, DL. I know what you're referring to. I know you're referring to that. I said that I think Kane is the best striker in the world. But I am allowed an opinion, mate. And just because it's different from yours doesn't mean that I don't watch football outside the Premier League. Why is Goldpiece asking me to smile? Very, very odd. So we've hit the likes. Thank you so much, everyone. Really, really appreciate it. Oh, firstly, Nihal, are we sleeping on Mane? Yes, we are sleeping on Mane, and the 4% owned as of yesterday. Let's have a look at my latest draft. That's who we've got. So I've downgraded Martinez to Sanchez. I did look at some of the Opta stats yesterday on fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, and Sanchez's expected points wasn't too far off Martinez, and that million can go a hell of a way. So at the moment, I've got Sanchez instead of Martinez. It was to release a bit of funds, which I will talk about now. And as you can see, I've gone back to 3-4-3 at the moment, just based, on the conversation I had last night in the Green Arrow. If you haven't watched the Green Arrow podcast on the channel from last night, make sure you do. We talked for 2 hours going through so many players in all positions. Adam Hopcroft is with me. 6 top 10k finishes. One of the best FPL managers. One of the best FPL insights you'll ever have. It is well worth a watch. If you are into watching 2 hours of people talk FPL players. I've still got Luca Dean, Trent, and Shaw and Soufal. I'm pretty set on them. Definitely on the 3. Soufal, maybe. But I really like Soufal. In midfield, with the news of Ings, I've gone for Buendia. So as I mentioned earlier, I've gone for Buendia and Rafinha at the moment as my 6.5s. I've got Salah and Bruno, as I say. I was tempted by Mane, but Salah and Bruno at the moment. And I've got Tony, Calvert-Lewin and Antonio. So I'm really pleased that I'm pleased in a way that I could get rid of Watkins, because it meant that I could bring in Antonio. I was really, really unsure between Antonio and Watkins, but I really like Antonio. I think he's just a fantastic option. Amazing fixtures as well. But now that I've got that Villa coverage in Buendia, I know that people don't like coverage, but I think having attacking coverage from the teams that you want to have the coverage for is good. And I've gone for Calvert-Lewin in that 8 million spot. But my dilemma, which I have, is, Calvert-Lewin could go down to a 4.5, right? And it means I could potentially upgrade Brownhill to Greenwood, as an example, right? And play, a 3-5-2. Or, as we talked about earlier, I could go Calvert-Lewin down and put the 4 million Norwich defender, whose name I won't even try and pronounce, I can never do it, up to Robertson. So they are my thoughts at the moment. FPL Rubber Ducky, very harsh. The Green Arrow podcast is very good, lads. Adam plays mind games with Fergie, and hey presto, Fergie changes his mind, changes his squad. That's how FPL is played. No, I've had the same core players for I've had the same kind of 7 or 8 players all kind of all the way through. Those 3, unless anything changes, Digne, Trent and Shaw are absolutely locked. Salah and Bruno look locked. Rafinha probably looks locked, unless I go with that squad I saw earlier, that 5-3-2 team, which I really liked. Tony has been locked all the way through as well. This is where I am at the moment, but I'm kind of debating, as I say, between Calvert-Lewin, Greenwood and Robertson, and this is why I keep kind of just refining. I'm not changing my team on purpose, every day, but every day I just like to put down on paper my kind of thoughts and also the things I'm thinking about. And I'm not afraid of going 5 at the back either. I'm really not, because as I say, in previous seasons, my personal success has come from only playing the 2 up front. So Lewis Lebens, yes, this is my current draft as it stands at the moment. I'm just debating, probably with myself actually, how I'm feeling about it. Adam Skeletto says, what are your thoughts on the 3-5-2? I'm partly tempted to try it, but just can't bring myself to have a 4.5 million forward. Adam, there's nothing wrong with it, buddy, at all. If you think the value is there, just ask yourself the question, right? Who do you think is going to score the most points? And this is what I'm asking myself: Robertson, Greenwood, or Calvert-Lewin? And if I ask myself that question, who I think is going to score the most points, I actually think it's Robertson. And if you just ask yourself that question, because the rest of the team is there, right? The only problem with going with Robertson then is it just slightly dampens the flexibility I have to be able to jump very quickly, maybe from that 4.5 million striker up to Kane, for example. I would be forced to maybe move Antonio or Tony up to Kane. That's the only thing holding back a little bit, is by putting so much money in defence, it does limit my flexibility. So that's the only reason why I'm having an R in. But that is me so far. Just a couple of questions. Coke says Ruben Dias or Chilwell. I think Dias for consistency, Chilwell for potential explosive returns. Ideally both. I think they're both really good options, and it's really hard to pick between the both. Rafsan says, how about Gundo? Can't really get excited about Gundogan, just where he finished the season. I'm pretty sure he won't be playing in that CDM role again after the Champions League final, but I think there are better options, much more exciting options, Greenwood, Jota, etc., at that price point. A person in the chat has asked if I'm rating teams. Absolutely. So just to let everyone know, if you haven't seen, I'm here every day, 3 p.m. BST, rating FPL teams in the community, answering questions live in the chat, and I'll be doing so every single day from now, including the weekend, every single day until next Friday. And I will also have a deadline stream next Friday too, so I'll be here every single day. Just pop in, have a chat, send in your teams. If you want to have a chance to get your team featured and rated, make sure you follow at FFH_HQ on Twitter and at FFH_Fergi. That's _FERGI, and post your team in the daily tweet, which goes out at 10 a.m. I'll pick 7 or 8 drafts. Please don't put in a really, really template team, because we've taught those to death trying to look at teams, which have something a bit different. Really good point from See-Through Man on my team, and it is something I did think about while I was doing it. No City and Chelsea. This is another thing which I don't really like about the draft I've currently got. Whereas I do go for the 5 at the back, I could change that 4 million defender there for Chilwell or Diaz, for example, right? And still maybe switch up Wendy or Rafinha for Jota or Greenwood. So definitely, food for thought for me. So I hope you enjoyed. That is it from me for today. I'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. BST, and every single day right up until the deadline on Friday, August the 13th, running through drafts and answering questions, giving you kind of up to date feel and pulse of what's going on with FPL. If you enjoyed, I'd really, really appreciate it if you could press the like button. I'd really appreciate that. And drop me a follow on Twitter at FFH_Fergi. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, our handles on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok are at FFH_HQ. Our website is fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, where you'll find everything you need for Fantasy Premier League and fantasy football all under one roof, including player comparison tools, the fixture ticker, Opta-stats, top player team reveals, points predictions tools, and much, much more to join the tens of thousands. We've got tens of thousands of members who use this stuff, right? It's absolutely incredible stuff. I will be doing some demos on it next week. There's currently a 25% discount if you join in. You can use all our amazing resources. Just click the top link in the description below. You will not regret it. I'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. BST, rating more teams and answering your questions. I will see you all then. Goodbye for now.